What's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of the Talking Nascar podcast, and I'm being joined tonight once again by Hitmaster. What is up?
Hello.
In the flesh, back at it again. Is episode number 39, which is insane. It's really cool. We got a big one. Memorial Day has passed, and thus the greatest day in motorsports, as it's quoted as, has also passed. So we're of course going to recap the weekend's events at Charlotte. Now I will apologize. I said last episode there wasn't a truck race. There was. So we'll talk about that just a little bit. Plus, the Xfinity and the Cup race. And then, of course, I'm also going to touch on the Monaco and the Indy 500 race. Because I think they're big races. I think it's kind of important to go along with the day. And I actually got to watch them both. So, we'll touch on those a little bit as well. We got some other stuff. Bid farewell to a classic YouTube series. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Some big penalties to react to. And then, of course, I got two, and I also have two NASCAR game reviews to do today. So you'll be sticking on that. One is NASCAR 98, which I said I was going to do in the last episode. Finally got around to playing that, so got to do that. And I also got to try NASCAR Thunder 2003 for the first time. So got a lot of stuff. So I get to talk about those two games. And so it'll be awesome. And then, of course, at the end, we will preview Gateway for trucks and Cup, and then Xfinity is going to Portland. So we will preview that as well. So let's get right down to it. First off, I'll talk about, I don't know, what kind of racing action did you get to see this weekend, Hitmaster?
I saw a little crybaby, as you can see in the little camera or the little picture. But I mean, I got to see the Cup Series. I saw a little bit of the truck, not a whole lot. But yeah, that's about all I saw. I didn't watch the Monaco or Indy 500, even though I really wanted to.
We'll talk about, I guess, the truck race first. I didn't get to watch it because I didn't know what was happening. I feel so bad. It's like, oh, wait, there was a truck race. It didn't say there was going to be a truck race, but oh well. I didn't get to watch much. I didn't get to watch any of it, though. So I don't know what you want to say from what you saw about it. Or whatnot.
It wasn't really that interesting watching it. Like, it wasn't. It's like usual truck races. They're not very good. So I mean, there was a wreck that people were trying to decide on whether it was, because I think there was a wreck between, was it Zane Smith and Deegan? And people are saying it was Deegan's fault. People are saying it was Zane Smith's fault. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, nothing too interesting. But if I look,
I don't even remember who won that race. Because again, I didn't. That was Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes took home the win in that race. Congratulations, Ben Rhodes. Yeah,
Ben Rhodes.
I apologize about that one, but it's kind of on par for the trucks and everything. So we'll get back to Charlotte a little bit later. I want to touch on the Monaco and Indy races. So first off, excuse me, get down. No. First off, Monaco was I gave F1 a chance. I wish I didn't do that. Boring as hell. It was pretty much everything it's pretty much everything about F1 that I said was bad about it was exacerbated here. It was not fun. First off, no cautions in a 78 lap road course race. That's a long time to go without a caution, and and then it started raining, and a lot of drivers, instead of putting on rain tires, which were available, decided not to put on rain tires and decided to just run in the rain. And a lot of them crashed or slid off the course and lost their chance at winning because of that. Max Verstappen ran away with it. Before the rain hit, he had a 50-second lead over second place. That got reduced to about 17 seconds before getting worked back up after the rain. But, I think I was saying when we were watching it, I think we saw 2 passes. Not 2 passes for the lead. 2 passes total. The entire race. And, why? Who likes this stuff? Who likes Formula One racing? Whatever. Monaco's also a tight...
Formula One racing.
It's a tight course.
I just don't...
So I can understand why there wasn't a lot of passing, and it's open wheel, and then get that, and I don't know, it's just really boring to watch. Good part is, though, with F1 that IndyCar and NASCAR can't say, they don't have commercials during the race. So even though you're watching boring racing, you don't gotta watch ads. No commercials. That is awesome. That is one thing I'll say about F1. That is really good. Good job on them for no commercials. So, but otherwise, very, very boring race. Then the Indy 500 came around, and it looked like it was going to be about the same. We go into about almost half the race without a caution, but we did finally get one. Only had a couple for the majority of the race. Then the last 16 laps, shit really kicked into action. Another crazy thing that we saw in this race, though, Tony Kanaan did a pass in the grass, Dale Earnhardt style, got shoved into the grass and drove. It was insane. You got to watch it for yourself, but it was just insane. I'm gonna
actually. What do you mean by passing the grass?
He did. He passed on the grass in the backstretch. Didn't crash. He did it. His Tony Kanaan's last Indy 500, and he was able to get a pass in the grass, which was incredible. Now, NBC being NBC, they didn't catch it and didn't show a replay for almost another hour, but it was, people noticed it and saw it. It was pretty crazy stuff. There was also some very top tier announcing in this race. 2 moments in particular I will point out. One was they were doing an overhead shot of the Snake Pit. If you guys don't know what the Snake Pit is, it's a big party that goes on during the Indy 500 in the infield. It's kind of unnecessary, in my opinion, to have it at the Indy 500 because they're not even paying attention to the race. They just want more people there, but whatever. They were doing a hovering over of the crowd in the Snake Pit. And one of the announcers comes on and says, oh shit, what did he say? Let me see. He said, no families in there, but a lot are being made.
Oof.
It was so, he just said it so casually that it almost blew over me what he said. It was wild stuff. And then the more funny clip, I actually have it saved on my phone now. It was late in the race under a pit stop, and I don't remember who they were announcing for the pit stop, but they were talking about the leader, because the tire left the pit box, and they were wondering, and they were going to say he's getting a penalty, and one of the people in the booth didn't actually go over the line, so they didn't think it was going to be a penalty. He's like, and they're like, oh, I don't know if it went over the line. Oh, I don't know if it went over. I don't think it went over. I think it just barely didn't go over. And it's like, I don't know. And then here comes, and then the funny part was, I don't know if it went over the line. And then another announcer says, what do you know? And I'm like, they were just arguing about this tire. It was funniest shit I've ever seen. Top tier booth. If we can get that every week in NASCAR, shit would go crazy. Okay,
Oh yeah.
that was insane. Um, but then the rest of the race, I mean, like 16 to go, I think there was a caution for something, and then hell just broke out after that. But the big crash that I think a lot of people are talking about was the two-car accident where the guy flipped over, and his tire actually flew out of the racetrack. That caused
Hmm.
the first of 3 red flags in the race. Thankfully, that tire didn't hit any spectators. It hit a car of some poor lady who was actually in good spirits about it. I watched a news interview that they did with her after the race. They found whose car it was. She was in really good spirits about it, so that's always good. But nobody was hurt, and that's the really good thing out of this. But that tire went flying. The car flipped over. It was a crazy accident. Red flag to race. Then they go back green. There was a wreck on the restart. Big pile up with the guys with, I think it was, what I forget, it was Pivot and PVL, something like that, going for the lead. Did a whole 360, crashed into the wall, almost flipped over. A lot of cars involved in that, so they red flagged the race again, and then they go back to green, and there was a wreck before they even got to the restart line. So they had to red flag the race, and then this was like 4 laps to go. So thinking, oh, okay, they're gonna finish the race under caution. Not the way we wanted to do it, but is what it is. No, they red flag. They take 2 laps to go. The cars are on pit road. They're gonna do a fucking red flag for a 1 lap shootout. It was insane. They did a 1 lap shootout. But there was some lots of insane passing, some really good racing. Even when just during the green flag action, it was fun to see all the passing and whatnot. And comes out to the checkered flag. Joseph Newgarden finally, through many years of trying, finally wins the Indianapolis 500. Roger Penske's 19th win in the event, and got the job done. So congratulations to Newgarden. Took the pass on late restart and never looked back. It was a really great race, in my opinion. One of the better Indy 500s I've seen, especially in more modern times.
Right.
And then we get back to Charlotte, and the weather forecast did not look great for Charlotte, and it showed. Xfinity race was supposed to be on Saturday. They moved it up to a noon start to try and combat the weather. That failed. They postponed it to They postponed it to Monday, and then the 600. They're like, oh, maybe the 600 can get in. They called it pretty early. And moved that to Monday, and the Xfinity race would be before the Cup race. And then on Monday, which was not supposed to have any rain at all, there was just so much mist that the Xfinity race had to be postponed to after the Cup race, after running like 25 laps. And I'm like, oh my god, can we just end this, please? Then the 600, in the middle of the 600, there was another rain delay. Oh my god, it couldn't take any of this stuff. Yeah, so the 600 lasted almost 6 hours, which was not necessarily because of last year where there were a lot of the big crashes, but this year because of the rain and also mostly the crashes. But I mean, had a lot of hype going into the Coca-Cola 600 because of the how great last year's was with the next gen car. And while I don't think this year's was as good as last year's Coca-Cola 600, it was still a really good race, and I think delivered on a lot of fronts, with good stuff there. I will find it funny that there was that Eric Almirola decided to attack Bubba Wallace during the rain delay in the race, and I thought that was hilarious. That was one of the controversies. Of course, the other. Okay, we'll skip over that one for now. Can I just okay? But this race, with the top tier announcing we saw at the Indy 500, still showed me that Clint Boyer still sucks. He's the worst announcer of all time. Can he just not? Can he just not? announce anymore, please. Oh, I hate him so much, dude. Keep down. No? Okay. It's just annoying. Ugh. But I've already ranted on Clint Boyer one too many times. I don't need to rant on him again. Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick both had some amazing saves in this race as well, which was really cool to see. But I think the big thing that we took from this race was not the winner. Ryan Blaney, though, snapping a 59 race winless streak to win. I mean, though he did win the All Star race in 2022, which they don't count, but he did win it. But he gets the job done at the Coca-Cola 600. Did it in pretty dominating fashion. Took over near the end of the race and was able to get the win. He becomes the 16th driver locked into this year's New Year's Eve Spectacular. So that's really, really awesome for him. He's locked into the playoffs. Also, I'd like to touch on Zane Smith getting a top 10 in this race. Very impressive stuff there. So, congratulations there for Zane Smith. But I think the big thing we're taking out of this is another Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin controversy. Earlier in the race, Elliott and Hamlin were racing for a position. Elliott's car slides up into the wall, and in retaliation against Denny Hamlin, right hooks him straight into the wall, causing them both to wreck and finish 34th and 35th, respectively.
Hamlin's a crybaby.
Denny Hamlin was not happy, and he let his frustrations out on post-race interviews. He went on podcasts the next day, just ripping across Chase Elliott. A lot of people were calling for Elliott to be suspended for a race, just like Bubba Wallace was in Kansas last year, which we think we talked about on a past episode. So, and he got suspended. And then I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think Elliott was going to get suspended. I thought they were going to let it slide, and anything like that. But they suspended him for Gateway.
My thing is, you suspend Chase Elliott for one thing that Mr. Crybaby Hamlin has done, but yet, remember the last time when they were at Martinsville, or when Chase Elliott was, I think, a rookie in that 24 car, and he got slammed right into the wall? Where was that penalty for Denny Hamlin? Why could he race at Homestead the next race, or Phoenix, or wherever track they were at? Why? Oh, because he's Denny Hamlin. He's one of the greatest people, and Chase Elliott's just a rookie that doesn't, you know. He'll get over it. Hamlin is not. I don't rant at these a lot. Hamlin is a crybaby. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Chase Elliott fan. In my eyes, Chase Elliott should not have wrecked him like that. My opinion. Okay? I agree with him on that.
I agree, yeah.
But Hamlin, if you saw, push Chase Elliott to the wall, where Chase Elliott couldn't even move. Just like pushed him straight into the wall. So, Chase Elliott said, I'm done with this. I'm going to wreck you. And now Corey LaJoie will be driving that 9 car at Gateway. And now he's going to finish in the 35th position because Corey LaJoie doesn't even know how to drive a car. Unless it's Talladega or Daytona or Atlanta. So.
Yeah, we'll touch on Elliott's replacement a little bit later more, but I agree with, I think Elliott's actions were a little bit unwarranted, but I don't know. It's whatever. Even if Elliott didn't get suspended for the race, he's in a must-win situation for the playoffs because of the fact he missed those early races. This was a 34th place finish for him. He hasn't really shown up a lot. He thinks, oh, maybe they can get in on the summer, but he's missing a race now. He's in a must-win scenario to get to the playoffs, I think. Will he do it? I think he will get a win some point if he stops getting in his own damn way. But, eventually. But it is what it is. I don't know. It's just, it's a shitty situation, but what are you going to do? Like there was action was going to be taken. There was too much uproar for there to not be any action taken. So that's my take on it, but oh well. And then I'll touch on the Xfinity race real quick before some closing points about the weekend. So they restarted the Xfinity race after the Cup race and were able to get the rest of it in without any weather issues. There was actually no cautions in the Xfinity race at all, besides the competition caution that they had that led to the rain delay, and then the stage cautions. Those were it. Compared to the Cup race, that was very tame. And it came down to a fuel mileage finish with Justin Allgaier, who I picked, by the way. I finally got a correct prediction. Woohoo! Can't believe it. But he stretched the fuel and was able to get his first win of the season at Charlotte and snap his own long race winless streak. So congratulations to Justin Allgaier there. But overall, for my final points on the weekend, it was a really good weekend of racing. We saw Indy, the 600 were both really good. The truck race and the Xfinity race were okay. Monaco sucked, but it always will. So what are you gonna do? I don't know. But overall, pretty good weekend of racing. A lot of controversy, but that's always to be expected with NASCAR. So I don't know if you had any points about when you watched the 600 or not that you want to add in.
Other than congratulations to Blaney. He's deserving. He's been waiting for this long to get a win, and it's not Texas that he got to. So
No, it wasn't. It was Charlotte. So all right, well, that is everything we had about the weekend. Let's move on to some other stuff. First off, we got to give our condolences to the end of one of great parody series in YouTube, Idiots of NASCAR. Had its last episode released earlier this week. Big sadness there. It's been going on for over 10 years, and they just released the final. TNT Man 93 released the final one. And that kind of sucks. It was a good episode, but it sucks to see it go. But we got the other 30 to look back on. Always a fun little thing to do. But I know it had to come to an end at some point. I mean, he wasn't putting them out very fast, and they weren't as popular as they used to be, but they were still a lot of fun to watch, and I'll always remember them. We talked about the Elliott suspension already. He's out for Gateway. Corey LaJoie is filling in the 9, which I think is a stupid decision. Why are you putting somebody who already has a full-time ride in this car for the race? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. So filling in for Corey LaJoie is Carson Hocevar. He's going to be filling in the 7 car, which I think is a good opportunity for Carson Hocevar to get his shot in NASCAR with Gateway. A lot of people were calling on Josh Berry to run the 9 again. He's not able to run the 9 because he's going to be in Portland, so he can't pull a Denny Hamlin 2007 Milwaukee and do that. So he's going to not be running the 9 car, sadly. But I think Carson Hocevar will get a good opportunity, some good equipment to really show his stuff. So Shriner's Children is a named partner for the Xfinity Watkins Glen race that was announced just a couple days ago. And the other big penalty out of Charlotte was on Chase Briscoe's team. They were issued an L3 penalty for counterfeiting a next-gen part. That's pretty big thing. Seeing that he was complete shit the entire race, and this
Right.
comes out like, what were you doing? You were trying to fail at that point. So the penalty is loss of 120 driver and owner points, 25 playoff points, six. The crew chief is on a 6 race suspension and a $250,000 fine. That's pretty big for counterfeiting a next gen part. The points puts him in pretty much a must win scenario for the playoffs now. And the crew chief gone and losing money, that's pretty big. And that's one of the more severe penalties I've seen in NASCAR ever. But big deal, big consequences, Kind of got to deal with it. So,
Sadly, yeah.
but honestly, I mean, that was all the actual news stuff. There wasn't a lot this week, and that's mostly because there wasn't a lot of there just wasn't a lot to do. I mean, there was some, so it's not that big a deal. But we do have a couple other things. I did you you had ordered that diecast. Did it come?
Uh, Something did
Ooh,
get here, but I don't know where I put it. I know that I know this isn't about NASCAR and everything, but I finally got my iRacing to work, and now I can actually do Indy cars at Talladega. So that's fun.
doesn't seem like a great
Well,
idea to me.
sorry, let me rephrase that. Talladega, Daytona, and Indianapolis all mixed in one. iRacing Super Speedway. Um, and
What? I need to.
there,
What? Explain
there
that
is a
more.
track on iRacing called iRacing Super Speedway, and it's supposed to be the Indianapolis track, Daytona, and Talladega's, like Daytona and Talladega's turns on the turn 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then I think Indianapolis's turns for the straightaways. It's dope,
That
but
sounds
it's
so crazy.
but but it's also you just have to push the throttle and you just gotta hope that you're in the back and you don't get involved in the big one.
I kind of want to race that track now. Holy shit, that's insane shit.
I'll have to send you a picture of what it looks like, but it's dope. I raced it and I finished third, almost beating first and second because I just stayed in the back and I just waited for the right moment when they wreck. And I saw a car going like above my roof, and I'm just like, I, I'm just gonna keep going, and I'm just gonna hope that I don't wreck.
Insane shit. When are you gonna stream my racing? I think that's something that you gotta stream.
I've actually streamed iRacing before. Um, just sometimes my streaming platform does not want to stream it. So, I mean, after this, I could immediately stream it.
I'd
Um,
watch. I'd fucking watch. I'm not tired.
um,
Totally not tired.
but I can even do iRacing Super Speedway on this thing on the wheel.
That'd be so funny. You could just put so many funny shit with that, dude. It'd be so funny.
Oh yeah, I will probably definitely stream after this and just stream that. Um, I mean, I'll have to hope and pray that my Wi-Fi doesn't go down and everything because it's taking a little bit of a crap on me. But we should try.
Always intense. Yeah, I didn't know you got that die cast yet. Um, you could look for it real quick if you want, but
um,
I don't know.
I know. Where is it? There was one diecast that's out in the living room. That's the Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh,
And it's from I think the when I looked it up, it was the Daytona 500 2001 when Earnhardt crashed.
oh, they made a race version of
Um,
that. Huh.
Let me see if I can go grab it. Give me a second. Just take a look at the picture of a piece of crap.
Intermission, intermission, intermission. All right, guys, we need to comment down below who wants Hitmaster to stream iRacing. We gotta get some chats going on that. I want to watch him do it. I don't. I will play iRacing one day. I will. When I have sufficient income to get a subscription, I will definitely do it. But not right now, sadly. But soon enough. Let's see. Oh, is he back? I think he's back. Maybe not.
Get back.
He's back.
I almost just slipped and fell. All right, so you diecast fans may be hating me, but I was a little kid by then. And I got this. Let's see here. Change the background to none. And here it is. I think.
Oh.
So it's a little bit damaged. Shows like the car
Oh, that's
hit.
the Aaron's 499 win from '03, the one where some Dale Jr. haters would think that he passed below the yellow line when actually he was forced down there. And if you want to come on this podcast and debate that with me, DM me on Discord. I will 100% get you on here to debate it.
Just be here, and I'm just sitting here, and the guy comes on and just argues with you, and I'm just like, all right, round one ending.
You'll be the battle master.
That should be my new name, Battle Master.
Battle master. All right, well, we do have a couple other things. I gotta get to my game reviews. Game review. So let's see where my notes are about these games. Oh, here they are. Okay. Like I said, I got to play NASCAR 98, which I got when we were antiquing. The NASCAR Thunder 2003 is not mine. I played it at Ken Pomeroy's house. So while we were watching we were supposed to watch Monaco Indy in the 600, and we only got to watch Monaco and Indy, but we were still able to play it. So, but anyway, let me. So I'll start with NASCAR 98. So we got it for the PlayStation, but I played it on the PS2 backwards compatibility type thing. I got a lot of notes on it, so let's jump right into it, shall we? I'll do a true game review style here, even though it's not my. It's part of a bigger thing. But anyway, it has a very 90s feel to this game. I know it came out in 1998, and it was the big thing with the PlayStation, but like, it is a very 90s. The music, the graphics, the just the overall like aura of the game really feels like you're in the 90s, and it's really it's a euphoric throwback because you wouldn't see anything like that today, and it is just super cool to see and super cool to really be a part of, in my opinion. It has a really long intro sequence, though. Let that be known. It has a very, very long when you go through all the trials and tribulations of the races, and you're flipping through real life racing action, and you're flipping through like gameplay footage and you're flipping through like the noises and all the intro stuff, it takes a long time. I will admit, but in my opinion, I think it's worth a watch because it's just that cool. So now, as far as the track and driver selection, it's pretty small compared to other games that I have played. Now, this is not the oldest NASCAR game I have played, but it is one of the oldest. So I think it just overall has a really small driver selection. Only 25 drivers that you can play from. Only 17 tracks as well. And about half of them are fantasy tracks. And I think it's absolutely crazy that this game has fantasy tracks. And you'll probably understand why when I talk about
I'm
NASCAR.
surprised too.
I mean, they have like the sawmill, they have road courses that never existed, they have all this stuff. And you'll see why I'm so shocked about that when I talk about NASCAR Thunder 2003. And so it just doesn't have a lot of variety though when it comes to the tracks. You want to play all the tracks that you can race in NASCAR, but you don't get that in this game. And all the big ones are on there, but not a lot of them are on there. So a little bit more selection would have been nice, but I get it's an earlier game, so but for what you get, it's pretty good in my opinion. Let's talk about the graphics. So the graphics are pretty decent in my opinion for the time, especially 1998-ish, late 90s. The quality of the game changes a lot though between different scenes in the game, like when you're racing or when you're selecting your car or when you're picking a track or when there's like a cutscene or like a loading screen or whatnot. There is a pretty significant change in differences that can get a little bit jarring. It's nothing too spectacular. It's nothing like horrible. It's just very noticeable. But overall, I thought they were pretty decent. I mean, they're much better than the NES NASCAR game that I have. That is a crapshoot if I've ever seen one. Let's see. The grass. So when I'm racing in the game, I decided to pick the Japan track that they would always race on, and try that out. Bad idea, because racing on road courses is not great in this game. But like I go into the grass does not affect you at all. I literally did pass in the grass. And it actually helps you to pass in the grass because of a better turn radius and whatnot. Doesn't really affect you at all. I mean, there is the gravel and stuff that can affect you, and you can like kind of spin out on the grass, but not really. And of course, the wall affects you, but it's just something weird. The driving. So one thing that I really didn't like about this game is that you drive with the D-pad, not the analog sticks. And I get this probably came out before the analog controls on the PS1 controller were a big thing. So what do you say?
I was just say this is 2003, right?
No, I'm talking about NASCAR 98 right now.
Okay.
NASCAR, so like and I get that probably were just going to program for the D-pad because they knew that's what they knew. So it wasn't like something they were going too far out of the way with. But it's just a little weird because the controls, the D-pad it's really stiff. It doesn't give you a lot of free motion, especially on a PS2 controller. It's not great. But for what it is, it's decent, but not like the greatest. These cars can go, and the cars can go super fast in this game. I don't think there's like sometimes in many of the more newer NASCAR games, even like the mid 2000s, there was they can only go as fast as they would normally go around the track. Like Martinsville, they would barely get over 100. Talladega, they could get up to like 190, but that was like barely. This game you can easily easily get up to 190 on a road course because you're just hitting the gas pedal. and it's not stopping you. And I guess maybe because I'm pampered playing a lot of the new NASCAR games, and I'm sure this wasn't a problem for a lot of people back in 1998 or 1997 when this game came out, but it was pretty weird um, to notice that no speed barriers at all when it came to this game. Um, this game is very much another thing. One thing I do like about this game, it's very technical and stat driven. There's a lot of ways. There's cool modes where you can just adjust your car however you want, give a bunch of different adjustments on the technicalities of the car. There's lots of different pages of stats, different ways to like do research into the car, and cool technical things you can do in the race with like leaderboard stats and whatnot. And I think that's really cool because it shows that they were trying to get people interested in all aspects of NASCAR, and get them a lot more invested and educate them, instead of just pointing them to a racing game with NASCAR stuff on it. So there you go, do that. Um, and I really like that. I wish they would do more of that, even for like 1998 standards. And this was really really cool. It's really even cool to this day to see all that stuff that was on there. How much adjustments that you can make. You can't do all that today. You couldn't even all do that on that like 15 years ago, but 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, you could. That was really really cool to see, in my opinion. Probably the best part of this game is that Bob Jenkins is in it, and that he voices your car throughout. He voices you during races. He'll tell you like, "This guy's going." I can't do a Bob Jenkins voice, but I'm gonna try. "This guy's going the wrong way," or "You need to get off the track," or random stuff like that. It's absolutely hilarious to hear Bob Jenkins in this game, and it's a really cool touch that I think they added him in. Because really, that's outside of the intro to the game. That's the only voice you ever hear, um, is Bob Jenkins. So I think that's a really cool thing that they introduced him in this game.
Jenkins.
I really like the driver bios too. I mean, there's only 25 drivers, but they do have like their own bio pages with like their his stories about them on there, and stats on the driver. And I think that's again another really cool thing to get people more invested into this game, and really do cool stuff with that. So I really like that. Another thing I really liked was the instant replay on this game. There you can literally, this concept, the only other NASCAR game that I know that this concept of instant replay that I'm talking about was reutilized was in NASCAR Inside Line, when you could go back in time and restart a part in the race that you wanted to do over. Now this race you can't restart from a certain point back in time, but you can go back and watch how it happened, and kind of watch and get cool like footage or replays of it. And that's cool again if people are taking like gameplay footage of this or whatnot. That's very important, and I think that's really really cool. And it's another thing that just really wasn't elaborated on outside of Inside Line. I wish it was. So, what is it?
By the way, for anyone that wants to know, this is what iRacing Super Speedway is. Like that.
Interesting.
As he drinks water. Interesting. I'm gonna probably go backwards at one point when I get iRacing.
Anyway, back to my game review. There's other, like during a race, other cars can crash that aren't caused by you, and I think that's really cool. To give some extra, what am I looking for? Challenge to the game, unpredictability, and fun to it as well. Now let's talk about the track renderings. They're not great, even for 1998. I know for a fact Bristol did not look like it was that was implanted on a mountain in 1998. Like, okay, so I go to race at Bristol. First off, there's no night race option. Even for 1998, that's bad. And there's not a, it's not a, we all know we all know what Bristol looks like. You and I were both there. You know how it is. Enclosed seating, large capacity.
Yep.
No, they couldn't even get that right. It's only
Except the big what is it called? Shoot. Video board, whatever. Video board, except the big video board, because in 1998 there was no big video board.
no, but I'm talking about. It's like it looks like the fucking. It looks like it all it has is a front stretch grandstands and a back stretch grandstands. There's no turn 1 or turn 3 grandstands. That's only half the grandstands, and it looks complete crap. It looks like there's just trees. It does not look like Bristol at all. I'm like, why people? I raced at MIS as well, and that one isn't bad, but it looks weird. I mean, MIS has definitely gone through some upgrades since 1998, but still. But yeah, I didn't like the track renderings. Also, glitches are pretty often in the game, and that's to be expected. It's an old game, ran on an old system, so I can't really expect that to not be the case, but they were pretty often. But overall, that's all the notes I had on it. Overall, I really liked the game. I was very pleasantly surprised, and I will definitely try and go back and play it again. There really isn't a lot of modes in this game that are worth trying outside of just quick race or maybe even a championship run, because you can't do that. You can't race like a season and do that. I think that would be worth it, but to do to do anything, there's not really much else to do. But I definitely think it's worth checking out. For the $5 I spent on the game, 100% worth it in my opinion. I really liked it. So, and it's a cool addition to my ever-growing video game collection. So that was NASCAR '98. Now let's move on to NASCAR Thunder 2003. As I take another drink of my water. Do a lot of talking today. So yeah, I played this. I did not play this on a PlayStation. I played it on the GameCube. Actually, I played it on a Wii, but GameCube disc, so it was technically on a GameCube. So just know that going in, that I played this not on the best system for optimization of power, which was the GameCube. So first off, awesome soundtrack. It's not as good as NASCAR Thunder 2004, but probably second best. Awesome. I loved it. Great soundtrack. The Thunder games always seem like they have a great soundtrack. I've played 3 of them now. And I think they've all had a great soundtrack to them. So, seems like a pretty big running thing there. For the drivers, there were 38 drivers to select from, which really is not bad at all. The paint scheme selection is really good as well. A lot of the drivers had multiple paint schemes. Even some drivers you wouldn't expect to have multiple did, which was pretty crazy. And then some you would expect to have multiple didn't, which was a little weird. But overall, I thought it was a really good selection of paint schemes. 23 tracks also was a really good variety of selection, in my opinion. But here's the crazy thing. No fantasy tracks. 0. They're all mainline NASCAR tracks. Which is insane that NASCAR 98, about half of its tracks are fantasy tracks. This game is none. And it has 6 more tracks. What? That's insane. And I would say, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the fantasy tracks, but I know a lot of people who are, and they are cool additions to the game. And I wish they would, it's just weird that you will leave them out when you know you can put them in. You've been doing it for years up to this point. You would continue to do it after this game. why did you not put them in? It's just really, I don't know, it was weird. Most tracks had a night race option. I wish all of them did, but most of them did, so that was pretty cool. The driving controls in this game, though, because I went into it acting, oh, it's gonna be kind of like Thunder 2004, pretty tight racing controls, but gonna be still fun regardless. No, this is very, very different, very loose controls. My car was sliding all over the place. I was getting loose. I was crashing. Um, just because I made just a little slight move. And I don't know if that's because of the GameCube controller, or because that's just how the game was. I can't see it being the GameCube controller's fault. I really can't. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. You can have in-race cautions in this game, which is awesome. I really like that when they do that. It adds a little bit more realism to the race. So that's really cool. Adds a little more strategy as well. And of course, with every Thunder game, you get the lightning challenges. One of my favorite parts of the game. They are awesome, awesome as always. One thing that's very different about this game versus what we see in future Thunder games when it came to lightning challenges is they don't get interviewed by Michael Waltrip or anybody else. They just when you hover over them before you select the challenge, it plays a radio clip from that race, from like the event, like the actual MRN broadcast, which is really, really cool. And then when you click on the event, you also get the driver just tells it from their story without actually being asked. Like, it's just them on the screen, um, which I think is pretty is really cool as well. Um, Another thing that I really like is that all the challenges are automatically unlocked. You don't have to go through different stages. They still have they still have varying levels of difficulty, but you can play them all right off the bat. You don't have to go from one rank to the next and finish them all before unlocking them. I get that decreases some of the challenge, but it allows you to get a full variety of what to play right off the bat. So that's really good. There is a pretty decent selection of other modes as well. You get the career mode, you get the season modes, and you get all that stuff too. It's nothing that we haven't seen before, but for the time, I think it's still a pretty good selection of stuff, in my opinion. Some weird things about this game: the noise. When a car takes damage, the noise is the worst thing you'll ever hear. It's the most ear-piercing noise of all time. It is so bad. Oh, I can't even describe it. I can't even describe it. So bad. I don't like it at all. Um, and then also nobody has a shadow in this game, which is wild. That they didn't program cars or drivers to have shadows. That's creepy, in my opinion. But it's not really as big of a deal as you would think it is, though. Like some things do have shadows, like the buildings and stuff. So it's not like not everything has a shadow, but only some things do. I was like, why would you? Why? I don't know.
Is the Michigan Tower at MIS turns 1 and 2 actually the color that's supposed to be?
Oh, I didn't race at MIS. We raced at Rockingham. We raced at Sonoma. We raced at Talladega a couple times. Um,
But again, that's the only thing that irritates me about NASCAR games. They can't get that color right.
um, the graphics are okay overall. Like the track renderings are fine. Um, the paint schemes look fine. You can tell like the overall like borders and styles of the menus of the game are much different than what I've seen in the past with other Thunder games I've played. So it is the oldest Thunder game I've played, so you can definitely tell like there's a little bit of older difference to it. It doesn't look bad necessarily; it just looks different, um, which is fine in my opinion. But overall, this game was a little underwhelming for me. It's not my game, so I can't really go back and try all the lightning challenges, but I really want to. Uh, Maybe one day. Maybe one day it will be given to me. We'll see. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts. I mean, for NASCAR 98, I didn't give it a score. NASCAR 98 is probably a good 7 out of 10. And Thunder 2003 is probably a 6, in my opinion. Still two very solid games. And if you find a really good cheap price for them somewhere, I would recommend picking them up and playing them for sure. Um, so that's kind of my thoughts on those. I know the game store that we go to. I know I've said NASCAR 06, Dirt to Daytona. They also have NASCAR 08 now. So maybe I'll pick one of them up next time I go. Um, they also have Thunder 2003, but I don't really need that now. And of course, they have a few others that I already have. So we'll see when I go there next. But that's really all I had. Otherwise, I don't know if you had any other news, Hitmaster, before we.
Let's not forget who we will choose for Worldwide Technology Raceway.
I know I was gonna do that, but I don't know if you had any Corrigan Oil news or anything.
Oh,
Anything.
I can look it up, but like I said the last time, that there's gonna be probably no news until July because that's the next. It's their next race, which sucks, but um, come on. All right, Oregon. Oh yeah, it doesn't show any new hosts. Um,
I was just wondering. Who knows? Who knows when they're going to announce their new owner or announce
or announce something.
something, yeah, anything. You can announce what you ate for dinner. We don't care. Just announce something. All right. Well, anyway, we got one last thing to do, and that's preview the weekend's action of racing. The Xfinity Series is in Portland for their road course race this season. Well, one of their road course races. Their road course race in Portland. That race has been marred by rain in the past, but if I remember correctly, has put on some pretty good shows. So, kind of expecting the same this season. I won't really get the chance to watch it, sadly, but I really won't have a chance to watch really anything this weekend. I'm pretty busy, so who knows?
Yeah,
But then we go to
same.
Gateway with the trucks. The track is not the greatest. It's a very flat track that really wears on the tires, and that can provide some pretty good strategy, some good racing action. We saw a lot of controversial stuff happen there last season with some big fights and crashes and whatnot. So the Cup put on a pretty good product. Trucks, I'm not expecting too much out of them, but the Cup I think will be a pretty decent race. It'll be exciting to see how Corey LaJoy does in the 9 and how Carson Hocevar does in the 7. Um, that'll be very exciting to watch. So it's that time in the episode again when we do predictions. So we'll start with the trucks at Gateway. Who do we think is going to take the W?
For me, I think if I can find the drivers, because again, I can't think on the top of my head of what they are. Um, Matty D,
Hmm.
Matt DiBenedetto. He's getting his win in the Truck Series soon, and it'll be at Gateway.
It'll be at Gateway. Huh. Interesting pick. I think I'm going to pick Ben Rhodes to double it up and get his
Ooh,
second straight win. I don't know. I just have a feeling about it. That's my thing. All right, then the Xfinity Series in Portland for the weekend. Who do we think is going to get the W there?
I think it is going to be Hopefully he's racing, because if he's not, then I'm screwed. I'm gonna go with the man, the mullet, the myth, the legend, Josh Williams, in the '92.
That's an out there pick.
I
What a
know,
wild one, but
for the
I'm gonna
memes.
I'm gonna pick. I'll pick Josh Berry to win. Junior
Go for a
Motorsport.
back to back.
Junior Motorsports can double up and get the win here. I think for the second straight week, broke through their barriers. And then the Cup Series back at Gateway. Do we got the hat?
We do not today. I'm cleaning up my room, so I'm trying to find all the chips.
Oh,
But if you want, I can get my handy dandy wheel. I can spin the wheel, and we can go for that.
wheel. What do you mean
It's a
wheel?
NASCAR driver's wheel.
Ooh, ooh.
I just caps locked it, so it won't be good. So, I have to type it in, sadly. So, sorry. Is this a yes? All right. So I'm going to take out Chase Elliott because he's not racing today, that race. But I will put Corey LaJoy so that we can actually,
Keep it fair. Keep it real. Keep it
yeah.
twisted.
So in this, there's only 20 in here. You got Reddick, you got Kyle Busch, you got Bell, Cindric, Blaney, all those kind of
All
guys.
the likely suspects. In the event that all of them wreck out and somebody who's not on the wheel wins, we will fly to the moon.
Right. But I will start first. The wheel has spun and it says I. It's in the middle of Kyle Larson and Alex Bowman, but it said Bowman. So
Ooh, Alex Bowman. Redemption
that's not a
victory here.
bad pick. It's not a bad pick.
He wasn't really a factor at Charlotte, but I think coming back from injury, I think we'll hopefully see a little bit more of him. This could be a good redemption victory race for him, I think, to lock himself in
Yeah.
the playoffs. That's not bad though. I'll take that. I'd take that any day. All right.
And now for you.
Not good that he is frozen. We may never hear from Hitmaster again.
Sorry about that. My computer completely shut off on me and gave me the blue screen of death. So, um,
Insane.
what's funny is it was just about to go to Bubba Wallace and then it blue screen of death.
This cannot happen. Bubba Wallace can never win a race. Die.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the next one that was gonna happen, which was Kyle Larson. So you get Kyle Larson
Hey.
since Micah beats me.
Okay, Kyle Larson's not a bad pick, in my opinion, either. So, do I want him to win? No. But it's not completely out of there to say that he won't win. So, well, interesting how that went. With that, I think it's a good time to leave off for tonight. That's going to do it for this episode. In the next episode, we will recap the events at Gateway in Portland, talk about whatever news we've got. Maybe Hitmaster's diecast will finally arrive and show up or come out of hiding in his room, and or maybe something else will happen. And then we'll talk about the next week's race, which I think is Sonoma. So, anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. If you want to be a guest on this episode, on the podcast, let us know. We will get you the Talking NASCAR role. You can join the server, and we'll get you all set up there with a time. And whenever you want to do it, we'll figure it out. We were supposed to have a guest on the last couple weeks. They couldn't make it, sadly, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay.
The computer is messing up every time he turns on this fan. Legit, it just overheats, and he's trying to fix it. So he's trying to troubleshoot his computer right now. So hopefully, one of these times he will be on, and we won't have to say, "Oh, sorry, maybe next time," or maybe next time, or maybe next time. Promise, we're not trying to push it away.
We're not trying to troll. We're just
Or
technology's
maybe
just
we are.
technology's just stupid. But anyway,
I mean, yeah, into that.
that's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned for much more amazing content, including in more podcast episodes every week. Till next time, me and Gary will see you guys later. Goodbye. Catch a stream. Even though it will have already happened by the time this goes up.